What is going on, kid family? Welcome back to the channel. Bully Kid checking in, and on today's video I got the titanium Flux 125 welder from Harbor Freights, and we're going to be unboxing it quickly and running through the setup process. I'm going to tell you what's included in here and how easy it is to set up, so keep watching. So the first thing you guys are going to notice is how light this box is. And let's go ahead, open it up. First things first, you got your instructions, owner's manual. You're definitely going to have to look at this because I'm sure you are a brand new welder just like I am. You got a little baggie with 2 nozzle tips and 1 other tip. Again, my first time getting a welder, I don't know the proper names. You got the strap right over here for the welder, and let's pop this baby out of here. Are you ready? Alright guys, and out of the box you can really start to see how small this thing really is. Very convenient. This is one of the reasons I went with the titanium instead of the competition, which was the Chicago Electric. Here are the internals of the welder. This is where the wire will go. You do get inside the box 1 pound of wire. Let's take a quick peek. I know some of the other welders, such as the Chicago Electric, give you 2 pounds. This one is just 1 pound, so keep that in mind when you're making your decision. Alright guys, so I'm going to pretty much run through the options and the features of this titanium 125 welder. It's a small little welder that's going to probably help me do what I need to do in the garage for small jobs. So you're probably getting this welder because you are a noob at welding, beginning welding. So follow my journey along and we'll see what we can learn together. So the great thing about this one is you got adjustment knobs for the voltage that this welder can produce and the wire speed, which is great because some of the cheaper welders don't give you that option for both as far as voltage is concerned. So that means you can dial this in properly to the metal you are welding depending on its thickness. And inside you got a quick little guide over here telling you some basic numbers and what you really need as far as wire speed, depending on your metal again and your voltage. So that's something nice and neat. And again, the manual itself, read through it, highly recommended. You can learn a thing or two. And also in the front side of this welder you got these 2 attachments. Now the first attachment is just a ground clamp, and I really like the gauge of this, that it's a flexible wire. A lot of people though complain about this clamp. It's a cheap clamp, there's not a lot of surface area, and they say upgrading this clamp will give you a much better ground. As you can see, the teeth right over here don't have a lot of contact point to the metal that we will be attaching it to. So we might even do a custom fix right here, just ground this down so there's more surface area when you're putting it on the ground. And the other side right here is the actual trigger point that you're going to be holding, where the wire and the arc is going to be coming through. So far from the get-go, it seems all right. Very plasticky, a lot of plastic, but again, this is a budget entry-level welder. You can't expect too much. Now going around to the back of this welder, you got your power supply. It runs on your standard 120 volt outlet. You can use this at home in the garage. They usually recommend a 20 amp fuse in order for this thing to keep running continuously without triggering the breakers. You got your on and off button right over here. And that's pretty much it for the back. You got a fan that's gonna help eliminate some of the heat. Alright, one fact about this welder is it has 2 gauge of wires that you can use with it. There's a .030 and there's a .035. So if you want more wire, you can adjust that. The one that is provided is a .030 gauge wire. So now that we are introduced to the welder, the basic functions, I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer in here, and we're going to set up this spool wire into the welder and prime it so the welding wire is right at our tip. That way we can start welding right away. Alright guys, at this point I got my spool wire right over here. Now the spool wire is actually just chilling right over here. You're gonna have to undo it with a set of pliers. Needle nose would be the best. And make sure you guys hold this wire in place so it doesn't try to spool out and expand on you. That's the most critical part of this whole thing. Just be careful. Hold that wire nice and tight. So let's take this off first and foremost. So what you're going to want to do is tighten the top so there's enough tension where it doesn't want to unwind, but it still can turn perfectly fine. So at this point, I like to do this first. Some people like to undo the wire first, then put it on here, but I feel like that's going to give you a greater chance of losing the wire. So let's keep it tight. Let's take this off. Gonna turn it just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna have to cut this cable just to straighten out this wire at the moment, because I can't feed it through the little tip nozzle right here. So let's cut it at a straight point. Very nice. Let's unwind it a little bit more. And at this point I can turn on the welder. And there's actually there's a switch right here. Right over here there's a switch which we're gonna turn on in a little bit, and that's gonna help feed the wire farther out to the gun. We can see the wire coming in over here. Let's open this up. So we're gonna adjust the tensioner here. So what this does, this compresses that wire. You don't want it too tight. And what we're gonna do at this moment, we're just gonna straighten out our wire from the gun right now. We're gonna straighten it out so it's easier for it to spool. I'm gonna undo the tension a little bit. Right there. And at that point, we're gonna stop. Let's turn off the welder. All right, guys, and as you just seen, we moved the whole wire through the whole assembly all the way to the trigger. This is perfect right here. And at this point, really, from my understanding, we are ready to weld. So I know it was a little bit noisy. I might do a voiceover, but that is how you set up the wire into the welder. Very simple, honestly. It took me a little bit longer than I thought it would, just because I was trying to be really careful with the spool wire again. And again, I'll play around with the tension on the spool wire. I'll play around with the tension right over here on this area of the welder. And yeah, I mean, it's all a learning process, learning curve. I'm sure you guys that got this welder are learning and new to welding as well. So All right, guys, well, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the content, some of the information, the walkthrough on how to set this welder up. Very simple for the most part. It took me a little bit longer. Again, this was my first time doing so, but we're pretty much ready to press the trigger. And again, guys, the most crucial things for this whole welding project, this series, is make sure you get a good helmet. Again, this one is the Deco welding helmet, and I have a video that's going to be somewhere in the link below or somewhere talking about the helmet, why I got the helmet. And the next crucial thing is just get some welding gloves, and these are the welding gloves. Again, talk about these in another video, but these were super cheap, $5 Harbor Freight. So we're pretty much ready to go. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, keep watching for future content. My dogs want to see me weld already. They're getting impatient, so I gotta run, do some welding. So catch you on the next video.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya. Kid from California, trying to make it in life. In school they never taught ya. Dreams along